One of the most powerful way to network, and I keep telling you, even young people, is events and programs.
Two things that will take you to the top are the people you've met and the books you've read. So somehow I like the journey of reading and networking and meeting people.
Opportunity comes through people, places, being at the right place at the right time, then event of life.
The consultant actually gave me a newspaper and was like, oh, read through these newspapers, then what you will discover is that you see people talking about their problems. There are solutions to every problems. And in those solutions, that's where you actually get the gains. Value, in terms of, we always come to you. When you give value, money should always, follow through those same values.
Hi there. Welcome to another episode of the African Business Showcase. The show is powered by B360. And all we do here is to bring to you people, companies, and opportunities within Africa. And what I'd like you to do for me before we jump in is for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at B360 TV on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. Please also turn on notifications so that when we drop this content, you are able to be the first to know. Today we have something very exciting, and the sector we're trying to spotlight is logistics and everything within it. And today I have my very good friend, Dotu. So he's the CEO of D2D Logistics, or is it D2D Cargo?
D2D Cargo.
Cargo.
Door2Door Cargo.
Yes. So Oludotun Omogbemi. Yeah, thanks for coming. So I will be picking it from there. So you can just do a quick introduction as to who you are, your antecedents. Maybe, you can start from, I would do it is basically start from secondary, maybe more like secondary school-ish into uni, but majorly starting from uni.
Okay.
And walk us through what you've done up till now.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
That's a lot of talk. Yeah. So thank you for having me here. And of course, my name is Oludotun Omogbemi, Matthias. Of course, do I need to go into the background of where I'm from, where I was born?
Yeah. I would like to know.
Okay. Well, I was born in Lagos, definitely, and I originally from Ondo State, but lived in Lagos almost throughout my entire life. And we understand the hustle and bustle in Lagos. So, like many people, I went to the boarding house where I learned how to, be independent. Right, I went to Federal Government College Udogolu. From there, I went to Bafemelo University, and I had my postgraduate there. And afterwards, the
what
good
did
thing.
you read in
Bafemelo University? Okay, well, I studied international relations.
Okay.
Then I also had my MBA there as well.
Oh, nice.
And after which, of course, I was in own business school. I'm looking into get into Lagos Business School and just school. Okay. Something that actually caught my attention while I was in OAU was I read a caption that says two things that will take you to the top are the people you've met and the books you've read. So somehow I like the journey of reading and networking and meeting people. My first work experience was during my youth service. Then I'd worked for a consulting firm, and I tell people this: the first day I worked, the consultant actually gave me a newspaper and was like, oh, read through these newspapers, then what you will discover is that you see people talking about their problems, right? And as a consultant, as an analyst, the task is to identify those problems and prefer solutions to them. So at the end of the day, that day, I discovered two challenges and I showed him. I was like, oh, yeah, great. Then he directed my eyes and made me realize that almost every article, almost every column, they were actually talking about issues. So at the end of the day, if you look at a newspaper, you actually discover that we are plagued with organization challenges, individual challenges, and it trained me to understand that there are solutions to every problem. Yeah. And in those solutions, that's where you actually get the gains, meaning that value, in terms of, we always come to you when you give value, money should always, follow through those same values. So yeah, into logistics now. I, of course,
But was the consulting firm, was he a business consulting firm or accounting or logistics?
Yeah, it was a business and management consulting firm.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course they were training as well. You know, we have manpower training, but majorly business. You see into organizational challenges, then you go into details and into different to understand how you can actually elevate them to the next step. And with consultancy, you know, and with life, when you solve your number one problem, you have automatically promoted your number two to be number one. So problems is continuous. It's, you know, you can't do without them. So yeah, consulting, right? I started my career as a consultant, as an analyst in consulting, and that helped me in my career path. So afterwards, I think I worked in SPAR. I was in logistics, procurement, supply chain.
Okay.
I think I was there for.
Because I really want to know how you moved from consulting to
logistics.
Logistics, yeah.
So I was at the back end, right? I was at the back end trying to ensure fulfillment that, you know, working at the back end, you know, we know SPAR, right? SPAR is actually a very big multinational. We had different outlets in different places. So I was responsible for ordering, reordering, logistics, inventory, and all that. So of course, we had to work hand in hand with the guy at the front end, you know, to ensure that you don't have stock out, the shelves are not empty, you're buying correctly, you're getting good quality. So that was part of, you know, the back end into logistics. When I left SPAR, I worked outside Nigeria as well, also in a similar field, accounting and procurement as well.
Which country is that?
Yeah, I was in UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
I was in Abu Dhabi, to be precise.
For how many
I was there for like 18 months.
Okay.
Then the lockdown, you know. So when the lockdown was about to happen, I think that was 2021, March. And then there was this announcement that flights, you know, would be grounded for a while. And then I just got married. My wife was in Nigeria. I had to just like, no, I won't be caught up here. So I took the last flight back to Nigeria. And since then, of course, I've been in. So yeah, getting back to Nigeria, my intent then was going to commodities, right, trading. Because I thought, okay, it's the right time to start doing something for myself. And I was into that. I was just about into that when I got, of course, an offer with Marks.ng. And Marks Okada. It was interesting. We know Marks for the energy savings, financial covers for riders, and then we had started a revenue line which was into commodities, right? So I was in Marks for a short while, right? And just after Marks, I got a call from MVX. So now MVX is into logistics proper, into import, export. So that's where I learned the rope in MVX. So it's been a compilation and a journey, you know, but still very much into logistics, into procurement, into, of course, now into cargo and into understanding customers' needs. So
yeah, so basically you stumbled into that somewhat. So it wasn't as if, because I haven't read international relations, DDBA, which is just, gives you that general understanding of business management. So, of course, your career started just unfolding in a sense, unplanned, literally.
It was unplanned. But of course, the experiences you gain from somewhere actually leads you to. So most times you're on a journey, right? But you actually don't know. Some of us do know. It's pre-planned. But for some of us, we stumble and we know we're on the right course. So it just keeps unfolding. Yeah.
So, but I was starting like with the logistics where you had to move out. What actually prompted you after the EMX or what?
After the
company,
the
MVX?
last
MVX. So, how were you able to like step out? What even prompted it to start with? Question first is how many years or months do you use there? Then what prompted you? Because there's safety in that. Why did you have to leave that and probably do it?
Okay. So something I've not said is, I think my entire life, right? I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always known how to make money. I find it very uncomfortable when I don't have, right? So I always try to get my hands, at some point, back then in school, I was selling perfumes, wristwatches, and on a given day, I could make 100,000 a year just from selling, things. And afterwards, I started selling jewelry, diamonds, golds. I had the market, so I always had to do something. And at some point as well, I started a website just to, of course, I had interest in government, so I wanted to find ways to sensitize and ensure that the populace are well informed on who they vote for. So I've always had it in me to, to do something, right? So the experiences from all these places, coupled with my very critical position with MVX, we had to learn about partners, about pricing, about the industry. And of course, there are many things I wanted to do for them. But of course, you understand organization, their limits and whatnot. So somehow, of course, the company too I think they were going through their tough times, and they were, trying to, withdraw and maybe just, go back to other businesses. So at that point, I was like, okay, I think I like this. I like the fact that logistics, Nigeria, we are very, import driven. And we have our sectors in export as well. So, and considering the experiences in supply chain, and so for me, I knew I was actually built to start up Door2Door Cargo, and considering the vast clients you will, the industry caters for, from your multinationals to your SMEs to MSMEs, so I found it very interesting to start up.
Yeah. So it's been how many years now? Starting Door2Door?
Officially, it's been 4 years now. We registered 2022, but we didn't start until 2023.
Okay. So, but that was the start. So walk us through the first 3 months, getting clients, starting up, or you already started with maybe some client base. How was the start?
Well, the starts starting up is really not very easy. So the concern or the target was to get 1 or 2 customers at first, satisfy them, then grow. So it was just me, right? I was just working on my own. Of course, you had the business registered, you had to get your custom license, you had to pay for this and that. That was a lot of money. And I had to pay for freight network as well. That gives a lot of, it gives you access to foreign partners, because from the name Door2Door, it means that we can pick up shipment from Nigeria and deliver to the US, or pick up from China and deliver to Turkey. And I'm just one person, so how do I get that access? So I had to pay for, I had the knowledge, and I had to pay for certain access, certain networks. So it was just me for the first 1 year. Then at some point I had to, I think I need more hands. Then I had a partner. Somto had a partner. We worked together. We actually did a couple of things together, and then we had our 4 staff. Then we had the next 2 staff. We became 5, 6, and now we are 18 actually.
Wow.
And that's 18 for the full-time staff. And we have other non-full-time employees as well. Maybe additional 10. So, but 18 full-time. So yeah, we were actually growing, and we're still growing. We gave out offer letters to like 3 more people last month.
Yeah.
So we're getting bigger and big.
Yeah, that's good. Who is your typical customer, like an ideal customer profile? And what do you do for them exactly? Because I know that the value chain is vast, right? It's big. You can't possibly cover, or not, maybe not at once. So what exactly is your core competence? And who is your ideal customer profile?
Okay, for my ideal customer, we speak to my core competence, right? So we have different segments. So one ideal customer will be the multinationals that have loads of shipment. Maybe they bring in raw materials, they bring in different finished products from different countries. So for them, what we do is clearance. The goods arrive from the supplier, the manufacturer, and gets to the port, so the seaport or the airport, but majorly the seaport because they do large volumes, right? So from the seaports, what we do here is we handle the clearance, the last mile delivery, and of course, maybe they make their duty payments and whatnot. So that is one on the very high side. So for them, we like them because in as much as the margins are very small, but the volume actually account for it. So it gives us very good margin. So the other customer will be the SMEs, the guys that maybe want us to handle their pickup from anywhere in the world and to deliver to their facility, their warehouse, their plants and whatnot. So the oil and gas companies, the engineering, the pharmaceuticals, the across all industries, right? And we also have the retailers, the wholesalers that buy in, they buy majorly from China, from India, from Turkey, and they bring in their products to Nigeria. We bring their products to Nigeria and deliver to them. So it varies from your traders in those markets, from the Aba, Oyingbo, Alaba markets, to those SMEs, like, of course, yourself, the banks, the oil and gas, and then to the multinationals, name it, the Unilever, the Coca-Cola, the Indorama and whatnot.
Makes sense. So that already speaks to the fact that there are a lot of opportunities within the sector. But before we segue into opportunities, because that's the highlight of this show, more like to showcase individuals, corporates, that's businesses, which we've even done now, right? And to now shed light on opportunities that exist within the sector. But before we deep dive into that, so how do you go about your marketing beyond being part of the freight network? How do you exactly get clients?
Most of my clients have come through, funny enough, networks, actually. People I meet. Another reason why I actually enjoy going to for programs to schools is that, for one, I'm in supply chain, right? My background is in supply chain. Now, I am into freight forwarding, cargo and logistics. So meaning that when I go to maybe Rome Business School, for example, or I go to Lagos Business School, I'm sitting with my clients. So that gives me an edge. Because I'm sitting in the same room with the procurement guys, logistics guys. So that is a very good network for me, right? And then beyond that, we do, of course, social media marketing, right? That brings in some customers as well, but mostly it brings in maybe SMEs and individuals, right? But majorly referrals. Also, my network, we've gotten very good leads, very good customers, very good businesses from partners that we happen to be in the same network. For example, when if I'm in Nigeria, right, and I need to maybe take things to China,
Makes sense.
I'll reach out to my partners in China. So in the same vein, when they have to bring in shipments to Nigeria and they need someone to do the clearance, or when they have to take shipment from Nigeria and they need someone to handle the Nigerian leg. So we get majorly partners from the networks that we belong to, the adjacent networks, from personal network, from alumni, and from social media marketing.
That makes sense. And I think that people are learning from that. I want to zone in on one of the things that you said, and I think we can share that with the audience as a practical strategy. One of the most effective way of networking will be executive education program. From MBAs to mostly short courses. You are able to meet prospects. But people say something like, it's expensive. Like I called to attend one yesterday and I was asking what's the price, and they're telling me it's a Nigerian 5-day strategy course, and they're saying £1,200. And the way I look at some of these things is that at the end of the day, all I just want in the immediate is to have immediate return on investment. Having just one customer within the client. That's what I target when I do programs. Has it always worked? No, but most times it works. But what I'm saying is I imagine a class of 20. If you're able to get like one person immediately and the deal size is able, or let's say the profit from the deal size is able to pay the initial payment you are paying. Let's say you pay 1K to attend a course, maybe somewhere in South Africa, or Dubai, or Kenya. At the end of the day, you just need one or two people first within that network to pay the bill. So which means that there's a break even. Do you get what I mean for that? So all you're targeting is, I'll go for this. It gives me access to 30, 40 executive that can potentially lead me even if they are not the direct line, they can lead me to. So that's why one of the most powerful way to network, and I keep telling you, even young people, is events and program, like courses, program, event, conferences, summit, whatever format it is, that you're able to go, and get to know people. Because like one of my mentors will say, and that's very apt, that life is a function of three things. And at the confluence of it is your success. That's people, places, and event. And what is the defining point of all of these three will be opportunities. Opportunity comes through people, places, being at the right place at the right time, then event of life, which can happen in anything. Yeah. So let's segue now to opportunity within the sector, because that will be of interest to whoever is watching, to say within the logistics, freight forwarding, cargo, and I've been opportune to actually serve clients in that industry. Of course, we served you for a bit, but there's one of my major clients that we served for like 4 years. And that made me understand that there's a lot of opportunities. And when you talk to executives in those industry, logistics industry, they tell you, for example, my client then, they're into dedicated logistics. And each time they are bringing a truck is already pre-booked, because they are saying that there's a need. And in all, if you count the total network, that we don't even have enough, that we're barely starting, that we're just scratching the surface when it comes to logistics in Nigeria. And that's trucking part of things. There's the other types. So maybe if you like to walk us extensively through opportunities within the sector. Don't worry, people won't.
So when you say opportunities, I'm actually trying to see where I start from, because it's actually very vast. It's very vast. Now, when you say logistics, transportation, you can move things, people via. Okay, now we're looking at goods actually. We can move goods via land, via air, via sea. Now, to move goods via land, maybe you're looking at a truck, a bus. Now, so it goes into opportunity for engineers, for the guys that actually build the trucks. So the opportunity is actually very wide. So you have to actually, of course, we don't have that. We have some players now in Nigeria that actually builds, So there is the infrastructure, the building of those assets, those equipment, your trucks, your buses, whatnot for the road. And let's go into the air, the airplanes. They have to be built by, built and driven again by the pilot. Let's not go into manpower yet, just the building of these products, these assets. And for sea freight as well, vessel has to be built, the containers have to be built. Then now let's look at the personnel that make them happen, like from the drivers to the pilots, to the sailors, and to all the people that works with them. So now let's go into, okay, now you have your assets, right? So opportunities for work in that outside the builders, in the industry. There's a lot. Look at the marine sector for one. Marine is big. It's big. Namasa is, of course, we know Namasa, top in Nigeria, and it's just on the maritime, just on the sea, right? Then you have NCA, that's Nigeria Civil Authority, Aviation Authority. So that's for the air and the number of people they employ. And then you go to the roads, the road transports workers, the guys at the ports, at the terminal, right? It's actually a lot of opportunities, for people that want the 9-to-5 jobs. So it's about your interest, right? Where were you looking at? Do you think you're more inclined to maybe the air, the sea, or the roads? And now go into, now the agencies. Again, customs. So the opportunities are actually customs deal with, the movement of goods from entering the country or going out of the country. So customs is another part on its own. Then as customs agents, right? We are customs agents. So the opportunities for individuals that wants to become customs agent as well. So definitely you need to undergo certain trainings. You need to get the license, and freight forwarding. So as freight forwarders, meaning you're responsible for the movement of goods from one country to another. So you need certain level of education, qualifications, and training to actually. So the opportunities are actually transportation is actually very, very big. So we can't do business without transportation.
Again, I'm even thinking about it that within that spectrum to a support service industry like finance.
Yeah.
So, for example, asset financing will be a major part of the opportunities, because at times to take on some of these assets requires loads of money. So as an organization. Okay, so let's look at this to talk about the challenges that you've gone through in businesses. Can you just spotlight about 3 major challenges that you've experienced or you're experiencing in running a business as an entrepreneur?
I think you just mentioned one, finance. Finance is actually a very major challenge, very, very major challenge. Especially access to finance in Nigeria can be very difficult for most entrepreneurs because you're required to provide certain level of confidence to the party that is financing you. And most times, entrepreneurs don't have this collateral to give. So even to us at times, it can be a form of challenge, because now you need to, for example, let's say you need to service a multinational and the payment terms can be 30 days, 60 days. And you have to, have traction of, for a month or 2 months before. So it's quite difficult. That can be very challenging. So you need definitely finance partners that help with that. Knowledge.
So are there specific one you like to spotlight in that maybe that people are not paying attention to?
How do you mean?
When you say finance partner, it could be structured like banks or maybe some other informal way of raising funds that maybe you've hacked and it works.
So I think we all have our strengths. So most time we just need to dig deep, right? For some people, they may get finance informally, maybe through a family, a friend. They have access to that. For some people, maybe they have a partner that is going to be the financial partner that brings in the money. For some, you may have to go to your bank, right? Or you go to a finance house that's ready to give. Again, to the best of my knowledge, before banks can actually give a certain level of finance, right? If you're not dealing in fast-moving consumer goods, you need to have collateral that backs up that. So for some people, they may have the collateral. Maybe somehow they're lucky enough to have parents that actually, so they can use that as collateral. But from other people that don't have those collateral, so it becomes challenging, So there are different ways to actually look or get these funds. So it depends on, you have to understand what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, where you can actually get the funds from. But it can actually be very difficult for entrepreneurs to actually raise funds. So beyond finance, right? The second challenge may just be the education, the knowledge. Okay, I've been in a situation where we moved in goods, right? And there's something called end user certificate, meaning that before you can bring in certain items into the country, the DSA, I think it's DSA, yeah, which should have, gotten permission from them that you should bring in these goods. So for many goods, you don't need end user. But for certain goods, like say, for example, drones, or maybe bulletproof vehicles, or maybe ammunitions, or of course, you need certain level of approval. And somehow I brought in, these paintball guns, paintball that I use for paintballers for a customer. And then it arrived in Nigeria, only for me to realize that you need an end user for this. And that was not the case until maybe recently this year. So now you've brought in these goods for a customer, and then it comes back to you that you should be informed. Now you go here down, the customer now has to process the end user certificate, meaning that the goods were there for like 3 months because it takes time to be processed. And that means extra demurrage. The longer it stays, the more. So of course, we practically left the customer satisfied. But then, so knowledge can actually be very key. And the third will be time. actually. And when I say time, as the CEO, as the leader of your company, you need to pass on information. You need to train them. Now you have a lot of things to do on your own, right? Because you're overwhelmed with time. Now you need to also ensure that the guys working for you have the capacity and they are stepping up part time. To develop that skill set in them, you need to actively ensure that you are pouring as much as possible into them. So I think for me, that would probably be the most difficult because we can only do much more when the guys just subordinate on the roads are learning and can do much more. It gives us room to do a lot. So the time to train, educate, and have fully equipped staff and develop them is actually very good. So one of the things we do to treat that, trainings, constant trainings. We try to bring in trainings. We try to bring in trainers from our fields. Even my colleagues, at times I tell them, my colleagues in maybe this guy is a top salesperson, there's an MDC in a particular company. So we bring them to train our staff. And of course, we have to pay for their time for training as well. So I think those are the major three things.
So in terms of capacity building, I just hope that one day most of our leaders would what I think at the end of the day, the private sector will have to lead this across different industry where we have institution where people can build capacity. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a uni and all of that, but there's some form of academy. I don't know if you guys have it in your industry.
So tomorrow I'll be attending a training with CRFFN, right? So they do trainings time to time, right? CRFFN is for freight forwarders in Nigeria.
Okay, makes sense.
So I'd asked the lady that works at CRFFN that, said just the top echelon. And I'm thinking, of course, I need more training myself, but at the same time, I was like, can I bring in like 3 or 4 people in my team? Because they need the training more than I do need training.
Yeah, so that they can
work lead. And for me, if I'm going there, I'll learn 1 or 2. But for me, it's more about networking and trying to get the next business right. But for them, it's like I want to be sure their capacities. So initially, she had said no, that is just for one person organization or the maybe the MD or the CEO. But fortunately, she had changed her mind. Of course, you can come with 1 or 2 people. So we have trainings like that. Then we have seminars, so we have, but of course, these things can be expensive. Tomorrow's training is free, it's free, right? But you have to go for conferences, you have to go to network, so they could be expensive.
There's some certificate program, like we are going through one now with my team. It's 23 weekends. So I'm doing that with 2 members of my team. Then in between that, you have to send some of them to some non-technical event, which we did last year. Send about 3 people to like a 2-day management deep dive. And we're going to, of course, do a lot more this year. It can be pretty challenging because you also need to be sure that, whatever investment, because these are going to millions of naira. Any extensive program in Nigeria that lasts more than a week, you have to part mostly with about over $1 million plus. And you make that kind of investment, you really want to be sure that it impacts the bottom line. So in terms of generally, what's your perception of the economy at the moment?
It's growing. It's going real big, man. There are many things happening. Many things are happening. I'm not trying to be a pro-government here, right? But there are great developments in this country. And we of course, it takes time to see the windfall, definitely. But we have many industries coming up. We have many people creating job opportunities. And of course, we're not there yet. And I'm more concerned about the people. I'm more concerned about the Nigerians that I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're ready for. I'm not sure mentally we are ready for where we should be in terms of the average Nigerian. It's concerning, right? But yeah, there are developments, and it's sad that it appears like the biggest winner may be the non-Nigerians, the foreigners, which is so. I believe that in-house too, the government should find ways to ensure that, that thing about local content, where you protect the interests of the average Nigerian, because many of these things, are not run by Of course, maybe there's a Nigerian somewhere, but in terms of the dividends, I hope Nigerians get to benefit as much as we should.
Yeah, I was listening to one billionaire, a Nigerian billionaire yesterday, and what he was talking about, a podcast actually, is the fact that imagine a scenario where most of all these road construction going on have been built by Nigeria. That including even the equipment and the raw materials that go into building it. So it's from one Nigeria to another, the interlocking, the concrete cement, to the person laying it and all of that. Imagine the kind of thing that we're going to have in terms of economic development. But the good thing also is that at least there are several other opportunities that one can explore. My major concern really now is Nigerian youths building capacity. I've been concerned in the last 3 months particularly. The thing is just on my mind, capacity building. How do we... Because at times, to be candid, most of these skill sets are not fancy. That's why I understand why a lot of people might not want to. You see, a lot of people just want to do shallow stuff. And at the end of the day, it only commands as much as it can. But once you start building critical skill, complex skill, because at the end of the day, our population is supposed to be our advantage. But it's becoming very disadvantageous. Why? Because you have loads of youths that could even you don't have to learn cerebral stuff. Physical stuff you can build competence in. Imagine we have to bring tilers from Ghana, from Cotonou, where buildings are going up every day. But people are not doing that. However, people would just prefer to just do Okada, do Marwa. Like everybody has been distilled into that, like Okada. People are not ready to build technical and the skill. It's a bit concerning. I hope one can't do everything in my sector. I can't leave my sector now to go and build maybe a technical academy. But I hope that within our relevant sectors, there could be capacity building centers that will cascade, because that's the concern you're talking about the individual. So, because at the end of the day, I believe that your competence would provide that opportunity somehow. That's what I believe. And that has been tested over and over again. You built over time competence in logistics. Now you have client base. Imagine you never did. Imagine that all that there is to what you knew was what you left school with, or maybe even with the MBA, but never went into some of this sector to learn the ropes and decide to pull out from that. You get what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So in terms of leadership philosophy, what's your leadership philosophy? What is leadership to you? How do you lead? And what are the maybe nuggets that you can, practical nugget that you can share on leadership? Business leadership.
Wow. I think leadership for me is, it's trying to get things done using someone that, or developing skill sets in people, so I can get more things done. So I make it that simple for myself, right? So I have a lot of things to do. I have a lot of things to accomplish. At the same time, I want to rest. I want to have my free time. At the same time, I understand you as a human being that you need your free time as well. And you can only do as much as you are wired or you're trained to do, right? So the more skill sets you develop, the more you can also accomplish, the more you can accomplish, right? So for me, I try as much as possible to, make you understand what you need to do. You should know and learn what you need to do. That way, you can also become a leader, right? And have other leaders, right? That can develop. So is that straightforward for me? So in terms of philosophy, I let you run it. I don't micromanage. I hate to micromanage. I don't even have time to micromanage you. So I don't want to micromanage you, and I don't expect you to micromanage the people underneath you. I expect you to develop the people underneath you as well, so that we can grow as a team. That way we build structures, we build, so that's straightforward for me.
Okay, makes sense. So as we begin to wrap up now, what are your plans now for expansion within your business?
Wow. I would say one step at a time. But we are getting there. We're almost there. I think I'm happy with certain level of contracts that we have. Right, it gives a lot of a good sense of security and scaling up. So I think we're at a position where we now need to fulfill and ensure fulfillment with our new customers, and then just to scale up, and then it's like times 1,000 from there. Yes.
That makes sense. Like I was discussing with one of my guys the other day, and I'm happy. He said something that is very interesting, which is almost similar, but not exactly what you're saying, but I could pick some things from there to say that technically they've achieved their 2026 goal this January.
Wow.
Yeah. All they need to do is fulfillment.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they are into transport. They've said they've gotten some certain contracts. So all they now need to structure for is implementation, because it's not the case. And he even said he had to tell his social media guys to not project anything around lead gen. Do you understand? Just talk about that the company is this and that. Yeah. Not that, you are selling. I really wish I should really get in that place.
I agree.
But we've started the year with trusting God to have a great year. Thanks for coming, Dotun. I really appreciate, and I hope that we can have conversation in the nearest future around some of these other things around business.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate.
All right.
So guys, you have it on another episode of the African Business Showcase. But I'm sure you've learned one or two things, and you would always want to learn from this platform where we bring successful entrepreneurs across Africa, sharing with us their life, their antecedent opportunities, lessons they've learned in building their businesses. And it will make sense for you to actually follow up with us. How do you do that? Follow us across all social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Beat360 on your screen and turn on notification. Also, I would like to use this opportunity to ask you to check out some of our news publication online. You can go to africantechbusiness.com to learn about business. We also have this is beat360.com, where you learn about business also. Then we have African Showcase. That's showcaseafricanonline.com. All of these platforms have several, deep dives into certain topics that will be of interest. If you are in tech, African Tech Business is your go-to place. We have newsletter, subscribe to it, and all of that. All we're doing essentially is to build an ecosystem of trailblazers in Africa, people that will move and shake the economy and impact it in a way that would really impact on every nook and cranny in Africa. So I'll see you on another episode. My name is Dami Olarewaju. I'm signing out. Thank you. Bye.